Hello, everyone. This is step two of our series. What every customer needs to know, needs to prepare to get those initial proposals for benchmarking before you start talking to people and finding out the different costs. You need to get a little bit of homework together. So I hope you really enjoy these series of slides. Now, homework is some homework for you. What you basically need to do is, see, in a home there are the couple themselves, many times parents, kids, various factors. So you need to get your requirement list together, because that will be a framework in which you can actually send it to various people and get their their costs back. For that, you also need an image gallery, which is basically like a visual wish list. Let me give you an analogy. Like, for instance, if you were to just go to a restaurant and say, I need food, all right, but you have to choose, like, for instance, you can go to a Chinese restaurant, but you won't get pizza. So you have to sort of choose so that you're getting your food from the right sort of a restaurant. In the same way, home interiors also has different styles, which you can see in some of our other videos on what styles there are. So that image gallery for every customer really helps them get the right professional. So, what is this requirement list? Organize yourself. What you need to do is figure out from a functional point of view, what are the things you need for each room, what are the existing things you need, what are the things your builder is giving you, and what is the money allocation that you have. Is it a top up on your loan? Is it self funded? Is it going to be in phases because of that budgetary constraint? As I mentioned earlier, the aesthetic is really important. Create a folder for yourself. Go on to Pinterest, on Google Images. Ask your wife, ask your husband, ask your children to also create this folder. It really will help you crystallize what colors you're going for, what things you love. That way, your process will be very effective. Now, after this, what happens? The next step is to get your cost right. You pay for the right things, and that's where a professional really helps you. I have listed out a sort of thumbnail range for a complete end-to-end turnkey interiors. We all quote room wise, item wise, so this is just a thumbnail. All right. Renovate, what we really do on that first call, you can call in, it's a free call. We basically list out every room, what its usability is, what are the items that need to go in, is it a new property, does it have civil work, does it have existing stuff that needs to be added in, and we sort of also get an approximate cost. We explain what are the different materials so that you are able to correlate cost, material, requirements, and aesthetics. So I've added one more dimension into this. And as you go forward in the process, you'll find that this details out, it fine tunes a lot more. But it's very important to have a top down view of this. Otherwise, it's very confusing. And you should be able to understand the quotation. It should not be technical. You should know what you're buying so that you can actually actively want more or less or just right. First thoughts. How do you make that initial picture gallery? Very simple. You can type in wonderful bedroom interiors, and you will get a whole bunch of images, be it on House, be it on Google, be it on Pinterest. You can even type, modern, rich, luxurious, and you can see within the few images that I have just gone past, the images have actually changed a lot. Why is that important? Like I explained, it gets your thought process across so that those initial quotations are bang on, or at least close to what you want, right? Now, the overall idea is to set your requirements. We get a lot of customers who say, give me something fresh, give me something unique, give me something wonderful. But we found that, if you are looking for pav bhaji, you are not going to like a sandwich that day. Some You are looking for a certain thing for your dream home at all points of time. So it's really important that you set your end goal. A lot of people are okay if they are open to aesthetic ideas, as long as their timelines are met, as long as their budget is met. All right. There are a lot of people who are willing to redo the interiors till the aesthetics are met. Obviously, the timelines and costs get affected towards the higher side, and there is a sweet spot between the aesthetic, the timelines, and the economy, which is where Renovate tries to give you the maximum value. We do try to get all this crystallized all at once so that we can start the 3D process with a lot of clarity. No designer would want to repeatedly change their 3D just because there was no budget clarity. That only causes, design fatigue, and you don't get a good outcome. Also, from a customer point of view, happiness at the end of a project really matters. You're going to live in it. So if your expectation is met from the realities of what can be delivered and what you had given and shared, then you'll be happy, and there's no two ways about it. We have many happy 5-star reviews on Google. Check it out, because we actually go through this process. It's important. We've had cases where the customer isn't so sure of an edgy design, and then they have their housewarming and everyone says, wow, I just love it. Or you have customers who wanted a certain kind of design, and we would tell them, what, this would cost more, or this would not look so trendy. So it's important to get on the same page. Now, our industry is extremely unorganized, which means prices vary, quality varies, design varies, your experience varies, and this varying scale is completely dramatic and unscientific. It can be all over the place. So the more organized you are, the better it will be for you. Now, a lot of times we are a little bit overhung from our colonial roots that we want to go for the lowest tender. But that does have its disadvantages, because a very low budget or a tender tends to have a certain compromise in its quality. So the first thing to do is create a table and get like the requirement list table, get that table ready, and then compare every vendor on it. Okay. There is no such thing as you paid too much and got too little value. There are different kinds of service providers in the industry, and that is on our step number 1 video. Do check that out. But the idea is to get your goals clear so that your benchmarking can be. Now, talking about different styles and those images, if you see, this image is all a gallery of different TV units, but they just look different. Their color combination is different, the amount of storage is different, their backgrounds is different, obviously their budgets are different. And I'm sure there would be one that you're gravitating to, or none, or many. So that is important, to know. So which one's for you? People get very confused. So let's play a little game, all right? And it'll give you perspective on how this choice happens. All right, so you see these images of different clothing. If I told you just choose one, there is hardly any possibility of choosing, because there's no framework, you understand? So the framework usually comes from each customer's requirement. What occasion am I wearing this for? Will I be comfortable in it? And is this in my budget? And based on that framework, you would choose one of these designs. Exactly same for your home. Use that same framework. Then after that, a lot of customers, initially start to talk about design and color and everything. The most important thing is to get your functionality right. If you have to get the bones in first. So get your requirements in, and the colors usually don't affect costing. The textures might, but the designer you're talking to will inform you. And the budget, or you crystallizing your budget, really helps you get this in line. Before you start talking design, definitely talk budget. A top down design approach. All right. Get all of these placements. What goes where? Is there a cupboard in this room? Is there a TV unit in this room? Is there a dresser in this room? Get an overall sense of colors that you gravitate to. There are many trending colors that people will always inform you. But if you have something like, for instance, a lot of kids, girls' rooms are pink. Kids love pink rooms. Maybe your daughter does not, and you can be specific about that. The minor details of shelves, drawers, locks, don't get into it at the beginning. That will happen in the design process, all right? And you will be able to go through step 1 and 2 and 3 through the design process, and that's what a good professional would be doing. At that point, if you're unable to choose and decide, use that matrix which we talked about earlier. A lot of times, the options might be like chocolate cake delight, and chocolate cake with a chocolate inside. They might all be very close. It's all right. You can choose any, and they will possibly all be very similar. All right. A lot of customers we find, when you see design fee, you want to iterate as much as possible and add as many textures and colors as possible to extract from that design fee. But honestly, there is a lot of design fatigue that happens with lots of textures in the same room, like lots of stuff going on. It's quite crazy. And also from a designer point of view, nobody wants to design more than 3 4 times, because then you know they get tired. Actually, just fatigue is the right word. They get tired because you can't iterate so much. All right, so do build on the decisions. Don't keep going back to step number 1. Do build on them. So I hope this really helps you crystallize. This step is so essential. Everybody do get this. And for any queries, feel free to just reach out to us. Our initial quotation is free, our initial site visit is free. We are there to help you, and we do this with a passion for an end-to-end interior. So, I hope you have a great way and process forward with these tips.